Hi, Brian with Embrilliance. Today we're doing part 3 of introducing the controls for StitchArtist Level 1. We're going to take a look at Applique. Let's create an applique shape. And to begin with, I'm just going to choose something from our library of shapes like this oval. And let's put that into view using our S key for selected. Now we're going to apply an applique. And the applique has properties, including top stitch properties, and of course our old friend the tie-offs coming in and out. In the border properties, we have different stitch types. We have an E-stitch, we have a blanket stitch, we have a satin stitch, and then we have something a little bit unusual but very useful, and that's called none. Now what the none gives us is a potentially position stitch and a material stitch, so that we can do those first two steps of applique without having to worry about the top stitch. Sometimes the top stitch is going to be a more complex object or set of objects that goes around and covers the edge of the applique, and when we do that, we don't need a specific applique top stitch that's exactly the same shape as the object. So you have those options. When we look at the E-stitch and its sister, the blanket stitch, we'll have a stitch length which controls the distance between the stitching at the edge. The stitch width controls how far into the fabric the stitches go. Now here you see we have Fabric Preview turned on. The Fabric Preview is just a handy way to see the color of the applique, especially when you've got a design with multiple appliques. It gives you a nice visual representation. We can turn that on and off. Pre-cut is a special setting that is used when you have an applique that's been cut by hand, perhaps using the fabric along with a printed template, or with a die such as an AccuQuilt, or with something pre-cut from a cutting machine like the Silhouette or perhaps the scan and cut machines. When you have pre-cut turned on, the object is not sizable. And by making it not sizable, you're not going to accidentally change your applique so that it no longer fits what you've already cut. When you turn that off, naturally, you can adjust the size of the object. Now here we control what's going on as far as position and material runs. Not every time do we need a material run. In fact, if you're using a fusing or a spray adhesive like a KK2000, you may be able to hold the fabric of the applique onto the project without a material run, perhaps because the top stitching is going to occur right away. You almost always need a position run because that's going to show you where to place your applique fabric on the project. With both of these, we have controls for insetting the run. And as we inset the run, you'll see we're inflating or actually deflating the object a little bit. Now what that's used for, particularly with a material run, is that if the applique shape comes to the outer edge of the object, then when the run that holds it in place occurs, we don't want it to be just at that same very tippy tip of the edge. We want it to be inset so that it catches more of the fabric. If you're going to cut the applique out by hand, you can leave this at 0 because you're going to position and then run on top of a piece of fabric and you're going to cut away outside. So in that case, the insets can be left to 0. Now one of the common applique styles is a satin stitch. And a satin stitch really works exactly the same, except here we have a density instead of a stitch length to open up the stitches or tighten them down. Now once you have your applique set, you can adjust the color. And there are different color styles to choose from. The PES card is a traditional one that's created by Brothers Software for both the Baby Lock palette and the PE design. This goes back many years, and what you'll see with the color is that the applique position and material are actually colors in the file format. Because of that, and because it is such an ancient format, you'll see a lot of applique designs that you download will have this color system in use. It's not a bad way to go, and a lot of people have seen it. So it's something very familiar to a lot of you. When we want to use a multi-needle machine, though, that presents a challenge because we didn't want to have 3 colors allocated on our machine. That means we would have 3 needles assigned to applique. So using the keep color or multi-needle, you'll see we have a single color. What happens, though, is that we actually have inserted color stops in this color run. So the machine will stop after the position and the material runs. So that's keep color or annotated multi-needle. And then if we are using something like a PES card color and we randomly change this to be whatever we want it to be, say we're using the fabric preview, well, what happens is the color style picks up. It says, well, you're not really a PES card and you're not really a multi-needle keeping the color, so now you are a user-defined color. So it will pick that up for you. Generally start with the PES card, and then if you want to change the colors, go right ahead and do that. So there we have a nice overview of applique, and this is going to be useful when we look at the satin border, because the satin border stitch also has all of these applique properties as well, and we're going to do that in a different video. For now, that's it from here. We'll see you soon.